I have had a lot of comments from moms about, oh, you homeschool? I could never do that. I'm not a super mom. Oh, I'm not that organized. So, surprise, I am one of the most chaotic people I know. I don't organize very well, and I'm not that. I'm driven as far as expectations, but I'm not very good. I'm not one of those moms who gets it all together. Here's my strength, however. I'm a delegator. I am all about making sure everybody else is doing the job. My job is management. I delegate everything out that I can possibly delegate. For example, I have children, my older children teach my younger children how to read and how to do their basic math. Why? Because my older children need to learn how to teach. They also want to be homeschool moms one day and dads. And not to mention, it also sinks in really well once you've taught something. So once my children have learned something, my oldest is a self learner. She'd rather learn it on her own. She doesn't want it from me. So I give her resources. So I delegate to resources all the time. My kids will ask a question and I'll say, I don't know. What do you think? Or have you checked the book yet? Have you looked it up in the library? Did you Google that to find out the answer? I don't give answers. It's my kids' responsibility to find their own answers. So I delegate all answer finding to them. Also, I delegate all learning I can from the older to the younger if they can do it. My children will come to me and I've got my hands in the laundry and I'm running around with a baby and they'll come to me and say, Mom, can you help me with my math problem? No, go to your older sister, please. Mom's busy. So I'm teaching them to get help from other sources. I am not the only source of help for them. They need to learn that they are capable of finding everything they need. I delegate as many classes as I can afford. And the ones I can't afford, I find a way to afford with trade. So I delegate science to dad. I delegate, they each have certain jobs in the house. I don't do all the cleaning. Are you kidding me? I haven't even vacuumed or mopped a floor in years. A bathroom, I think I've cleaned once a year. Why? Because I delegate it to my kids. Now, a lot of people will say, but I don't want them to be slaves. Trust me, they're not slaves. They're learning how to keep a house. They're learning that living in a house is a lot of work and that it takes a team to be able to do it. They're learning that education is their responsibility and they can find the answers. I delegate everything I can possibly delegate. I found a neighbor who an older woman who didn't have her grandchildren nearby and she loved to sew. So I asked her if we could trade or I could pay her. Could she teach my kids to sew? So the kids walked down the street, learned to sewing from her a couple of times a week. It lasted about a year and now they're all basic sewers. So I go around the neighborhood. I found one sweet old man in our neighborhood who loved woodworking, and I had a son who wanted to learn. So he came and picked up my son once a week, and took him for some grandpa time, and taught him some woodworking and how to use tools. So look around your neighborhood and ask the elderly specifically what they can teach your children. And a lot of the elderly will just love to teach your kids just for the companionship. Your children learn how to treat the elderly and be kind. They learn from others, and it's a beautiful win-win relationship. So once again, I delegated that to a neighbor or a family friend. And I just look around all the time. What does my child want to learn? And then I find someone else to teach that to them. Those are several ways you can learn. You can delegate your children to your children and to neighbors for your children. Don't try to do it all yourself. You can't. It's impossible.